Are we going to see a new crop of bands come up? Kind of skeptical about that, but what I can say is that rock as like a culture is for sure more relevant than it has been in a long time. So if you're a rock fan, you should thank all the SoundCloud rappers for making people care about rock in 2018. What's up, everybody? I'm Finn McKenty. This is the Punk Rock MBA, and welcome back to another edition of Viewers Comments, where I guess you could probably figure out from the title, I answer your questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, suggestions, and whatnot. And for those of you who are new to the channel, you should know that I read every single one of my comments. I probably shouldn't, but I do. So if you leave a comment, I will see it, for better or for worse. Before we get into it, I just wanted to share some good news. Last week, I made my dream come true. I checked off the biggest, most important item on my bucket list. I listened to Emmure on a yacht with Joey Sturgis.
You know, my favorite new music YouTuber at the moment is Finn McKenty. Finn McKenty.
Okay, well, with that out of the way, let's get into it. A couple comments on my Blink 182 video. First, from Mauler RL.
Movies help them too. Their sound fit in so perfectly with the coming-of-age teen comedies of the early 2000s. In those movies, you were almost guaranteed to hear The Middle by JB Eat World, 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton, Kiss Me by Sixpence None the Richer, and one of Blink's big singles.
Yes, good call. I totally should have mentioned this. And by the way, what happened to the genre of like kind of raunchy PG-13 teen comedies? Can we please bring those back? American Pie, She's All That, Bring It On, 10 Things I Hate About You. The list goes on. It just does not get any better than this. Let me know in the comments if you love 90s and 2000s teen movies as much as I do, and also tell me what your favorite one is. I feel like there's probably a lot of them I'm forgetting about, and for the love of God, somebody please bring this genre of movie back. Honestly, I don't want to live in a world without them. Next, from Walter the Einstein Frog.
Tom was my favorite member because people would always say we looked alike. I can still relate to him in that I am also fat now and wish to use black magic to open up time portals in space, etc.
I gotta make one correction here. Tom does not use black magic to open time portals in space. He uses secret technology given to him by the CIA in conjunction with aliens. So please edit your comment to reflect that. Okay, next up, a few of my favorite thing, clueless haters.
Dude, you're not DIY punk. Shut the fuck up. Go back to Cali with your useless knowledge and underground vinyl records.
This is a very advanced hater. Usually these hater comments are something like, who the fuck are you? I'm from Southern California. I only listen to obscure vinyl. You listen to the radio. You don't know shit about punk, you poser. But this guy is the opposite. It's very advanced. He says, you go back to California with your extensive knowledge of punk and rare vinyl. I don't even know what to say. Honestly, this is brilliant. This is too advanced for me. I give up. You win. Well done. In the next example, if you guys ever wonder why I make fun of Europeans, well, here it is.
Is American pop not punk? Controlled sound of crap, nerd music of posers.
My friends, this is a perfect example of European personality disorder. But I have to say, this is a golden opportunity. If you're any of you guys out there in bands who are looking for some sort of great marketing idea, I've got one for you. I don't know if you saw how Neck Deep made the shirts that said generic pop punk. Well, some band out there needs to make a shirt that says nerd music of posers. And next up on my video about Green Day.
From Alberto Vega, a true punk would have ad revenue removed from his videos.
Well, that might be true, but a true punk also wouldn't be on YouTube watching videos about Green Day. Gotcha. Next up, an example of one of my favorite things about the internet. Like, if you talk about somebody, there's like a 99% chance that they're gonna see it and probably even show up and comment about it. This is from the video I did about post-hardcore a couple weeks ago. In that video, I was talking about Thursday's roots in the hardcore scene, and as an example of that, like how they snuck a shot of a kid in a Bane hoodie into the video. And guess who showed up? Gabriel Sabo. Holy shit, I'm the kid in the Bane hoodie. Gabe, thanks for watching. And by the way, do you still have that Bane hoodie? And another example of this on my video about 5 bands who should have been bigger. One of the bands I talked about on there was Jerome, which is an amazing old like MySpace deathcore band that you should definitely check out if you're into like old Chelsea Grin or any of that kind of stuff. From Ben Siptrot.
Dude, much appreciated. I started Jerome when I was 16. You're also spot on with the high school thing. Everyone got into different hobbies and fell off Jerome. Drummer went to Oceano. Me and the other guitar player ended up starting Monsters. Monsters, great band. Cheers for all the love. Also check out my new band, Vile Secretion.
Ben, thank you for showing up. Also, make sure you check out Ben's band, Vile Secretion. I will link them in the description. They are And also in my Seosin video, I compared Anthony Green, the original singer, to Cove Reaver, the guy who replaced him and recorded most of the stuff with him. Cove actually saw the video, reached out to me, sent me a link to his new band. They're called Dead American. I'll play a little clip of it here in a minute. And yeah, it's actually really good. So Cove, thanks for watching. Next up, from Jack's Gone Mad.
Holy fuck, you're so wholesome. Love you and your channel.
Am I like the Reliant K of YouTube? But seriously, that is a deliberate choice on my part because look, it's not a contest of like who's been around the most fucked up stuff by any means, because there's lots of other people that have more impressive fuck up credentials than me. But make no mistake, I'm not a stranger to that shit. I just choose not to talk about it. And next, in my previous comments video, I asked you guys to introduce yourselves. So if you did not introduce yourself on that video, I would love it if you would do it on this one. So in the comments, tell me who you are, where you're from, how old you are, what you want to do with your life, how you found the channel. I'm just always amazed at like the diverse range of backgrounds from all over the world that are watching. So here's a few examples. Rubelit, an engineering student from Finland. Zavi13 from Saudi Arabia, who likes Blink and A Day to Remember. Excellent taste. Javier Perez, who is a law student from Chile. Danielle Beater, a South African video editor who likes pop punk and metalcore. So do I. Good taste. You guys all have good taste. A couple people from Indonesia here, which is pretty cool. So first of all, a sincere thank you to everybody who watches and comments from all over the world, even though I just made fun of Europeans, and I will continue to make fun of Europeans because there's a lot to make fun of. In all seriousness, I actually think it's awesome to have this like global international community that watches this channel. I really appreciate having all those perspectives. Views and likes and all that stuff are awesome, and I appreciate those, but what I love more than anything else is comments. So thank you guys for that. Next up, from Richard Pyfo. Hopefully I pronounced your name right.
The reason I'm commenting is because all your assertions about the rap metal hardcore crossover. I think it's a fascinating idea, and as a teacher in the Bronx where so many students love Lil Yachty and his ilk, it would be awesome to have some common ground with them to discuss music. Where do you think this thing goes sonically? Does it stay as electronically produced hip-hop, or do we start hearing more guitar-driven music, hoping for the latter? Turnstile to me is the closest thing to a platonic ideal in the current scene.
So what he's referring to is the thing I've talked about in a bunch of videos recently about how a huge chunk of the current rappers making waves actually grew up in like rock, metal, hardcore, emo, whatever. And it's not just the underground rappers like Ghostman and Suicide Boys and Wavy Jones and all that stuff. It's also the huge mainstream ones like Lil Uzi Vert, Lil Yachty, Lil Xan, Playboy Carti. It's not like some isolated little pocket. It's a big deal. Anyway, in regard to your question about where this goes, here's what I think might be happening. So anybody that's been paying attention to music for the last 5 years, it's pretty obvious. Like rock has declined in popularity as rap has gone up in popularity. Not even the last 5 years. It's like this has happened the last 20 years really. But anyway, I don't think rock is going to come back exactly, at least not in the same way as it did before, because that's how revivals are. They're never like just an exact recreation of the past. It's always a recreation of the past in a way that we didn't really expect. And so what I think is actually happening is that these rappers are making people more interested in rock. For example, Lil Uzi Vert talks about Marilyn Manson a lot. He loves Marilyn Manson. And so you're hearing teenagers who would otherwise never, ever, ever think about Marilyn Manson talk about Marilyn Manson. And to your question about like whether it's going to continue to be electronic or have guitars, another thing you're hearing is more guitars in rap. Like Scarlxrd has a lot of guitars in his songs. And like I was saying, it's not like an exact carbon copy of what you're hearing before, but like Lil Peep sampled Mineral in one of his songs. So that's what I think is happening.
Old VOD material after watching the New York Hardcore documentary, and it is real good. Like their vocals are way ahead of their time. Great stuff.
I agree with you, VOD were way ahead of their time, but more importantly, you guys have got to watch the New York Hardcore documentary. It's from like 1995. The whole thing's on YouTube. I'll link it in the description. Oh my God, this is the most unintentionally hilarious thing anybody has ever made. It's like, imagine The Room, but about hardcore. I can't even begin to do it justice, so I'm not even gonna try, but it's meme after meme after meme after meme.
I live hardcore 7 days a week.
Oh, Rick. Fucking wild man? Freak show. His life is hardcore, but I guess he can't get another job. Look, would you hire that motherfucker? Look, it's fucking like a... Looks like he's been through a bad fishing accident.
The most unintentionally hilarious thing I've ever seen in my life. Next, from Monty Barnard.
Sucks Job for a Cowboy isn't really a band anymore. Tech Death fans wrote them off when they came out of the gate as a deathcore band, and deathcore kids, their initial fans, bailed when they started writing Tech Death. Shitty situation, the band is so underrated.
Man, that is exactly what happened. The larger lesson here for any of you who have a band or a YouTube channel or like any kind of creative thing is stick with the one that brought you to the dance. Think about how many times a band or an artist or a company for that matter tried to change who their audience is, and think about how many times that worked. Like, it almost never works. Don't take your eye off the prize. Job for a Cowboy is kind of the perfect example of what happens when you do. Next, from Andrew Does Covers.
But a crossover between you and Axe to Grind would be dope. Dudes from the same vein of hardcore that you're from, and a lot of topics cross over. They actually just did an episode not too long that talked about a lot of VOD. Anyways, just an idea, a lot of similar mindsets between you and them.
I do not know those guys, but I have actually heard a lot of people tell me that I should be on their shows. So if you do know them or you're a fan of the show and you think I should be on it, then let them know. Tell them to get Finn McKenty on a show. And by the way, way, I love that I just talked about myself in third person because that's been a life goal of mine. Really, I just want to be like a poorly spoken athlete at a press conference. Like, myself feels like myself was the best version of myself that myself has seen this season, and myself was really just focused and do the best that myself can for myself's team. Next, from Greg Frost.
JRPG wise, you gotta check out Shining Force 2 on the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive. So addictive.
Yes, I love that game. I actually played the version of it on Game Boy Advance. I've talked about JRPGs before, but let's talk about a specific flavor of JRPGs. My favorite one, the strategy RPGs. Final Fantasy Tactics would be the one that most people are familiar with. Disgaea is great too, super funny. Love the art in that game. Luminous Arc, I think there's 2 of those that are both great. But the best one that I would recommend you guys play is Tactics Ogre, the remake of Tactics Ogre for the PSP. Which reminds me, can we just take a minute to talk about how awesome the PSP and the Vita were? Of course, I hacked the thing the second that I could and pirated every game and put every emulator on it. But man, PSP was great. Let's start a JRPG on PSP, gang. Who's in? Next, from Brando C.
What I want to know is what guilty pleasure songs / music y'all are into. Being a fan of hardcore music, I can still get down with some pop, disco, oldies, Mariah Carey's Fantasy in particular, I can't help but bop to. I don't even know why I call it a guilty pleasure because I don't feel guilty at all about it, lol.
Yeah, man, why would you feel guilty about liking a song? What a fucking dumb idea. And when I say that's a dumb idea, I'm not directing that at you, Brando. I'm directing that at all the people that think for some reason if you like metal, you can't listen to a fucking pop song. These are the people who think listening to music is some kind of an accomplishment. This is the ultimate in stupid gatekeeping, thinking that you're better than someone else because you pressed play on a different song. So yeah, I don't have any guilty pleasures, but I'll tell you what, I do love pop. Ariana Grande, Charlie XCX, Fifth Harmony is great, Carly Rae Jepsen. Next, from Finn Golfinator.
Maybe you can do a power violence episode? I hear you mention Chris Dodge in one of your videos.
Well, you guys tell me, would you be interested in a power violence video? I could absolutely make one about that because that was like my world when I was in high school. In fact, Chris Dodge's band Spaz actually made a song, they made a whole record about me, including a song about my mom called Finn's Mom Yodeling in the Bathtub, and it is actually about my mom yodeling in the bathtub. So yeah, if you would be interested in a power violence video, I would love to do it. Just let me know in the comments if you'd be interested. Next, from Richard Burdowski.
Awesome video as always. How about why Refused wasn't more popular?
Well, Richard, I could answer your comment, but actually I'm so lazy that I'm just gonna read somebody else's comment because he said exactly what I would say, only I didn't have to think of it.
I feel like Refused was bigger than anyone could have expected. A Swedish communist band who made one of the weirder hardcore punk classics that's one of the most revered heavy albums of the past 2 decades. Hell, even Paramore references them in one of their singles.
That is exactly what I think too. Well said, Matt. Next, from Kyle Toon or Thun, I don't know.
Hey man, thanks for all the uploads. I've been binging them all week long.
Or did he mean binging? Like, was he using the bing.com, like Microsoft search engine? If so, like, Kyle, you need help.
Anyway, are you planning on making a video on Norwegian black metal? As you know, that scene has some insane history that could provide some good content.
I don't think I will do a video about black metal, and the reason why is because I don't think I really have anything to add to that conversation. Like you said, it has some insane history, but as you may have noticed, I try to cover stuff where I think that I have something new to say. So for example, I talk about 90s hardcore because I was there. I talk about Green Day because I was very familiar with like the scene that they came from. I talked about Seosin because I know people in the band. I have no connection to Norwegian black metal, although my father is from Norway, so maybe he was secretly in one of those bands. I don't know. So I don't really think I have anything to add, and I'm not gonna make a video just to hear myself talk, you know? But if I do think of anything original to say about it, well, yeah, I would totally make a video about it. And lastly, from Wonton Metal Popcorn. First of all, that sounds fucking disgusting. Like wontons and popcorn? Ugh. What made you think of that?
Do you ever have guests in your videos to add to the discussion? If not, have you considered? Also, ever thought to start a podcast? I know it'd be more work, but I think you'd be able to make some good shit.
Yes, I have thought about doing a podcast. In fact, I actually have had 2 podcasts in the past. I did about 100 episodes in total of those 2. And yes, I definitely want to start doing one for the Punk Rock MBA. It's really just a matter of finding the time. But I would love to know what you guys want to hear on that podcast. I'm thinking it would be like a weekly thing where I sit down with somebody in a band or a label or who runs a company that's doing something cool and just kind of sit down, talk shop with them and like talk about how they do what they do. I don't know, that's kind of where my head is at. Let me know what you guys think of that idea. Tell me in the comments, what would you like to hear on a podcast from me? All right, guys, that's it for now. Again, a sincere thank you to everybody who comments. I read every single comment that I get. So if you leave a comment, I will definitely see it. I do my best to reply to as many of them as I can, but it's just literally impossible. And if you haven't introduced yourself yet, I would love it if you would do that. I love getting to know you guys. And as I mentioned in my last video, I've been doing some one-on-one Skype consultations. So if you want to set up a call with me to get some feedback on your project, on the marketing plan, maybe some career advice, if you are a photographer or graphic designer wondering how to get more clients, anything like that, there's a link in the description where you can sign up to book some time with me to do that. And with that, I will sign off for now, but as always, I will see you next time.